Do you think Donald Trump pays taxes? Do you think Elon Musk pays a single dollar in taxes? Obviously, they legally don't pay taxes. Paying taxes is only for the middle class because the rich always have legal ways to not pay tax, which is the biggest reason they remain rich. But how is it possible? What all legal ways are they using that the middle class is not using and ends up paying taxes even on an above average salary? There are many legal loopholes, but in today's video, we will get into 5 of those methods used by the rich people. We also have a bonus tip for salaried people. But before we go into that, you need to understand the basic rule. Rich people don't buy things in their own name. They buy everything in the name of their company, whether it's their car, house, or even dog food, and they just own the company that pays for everything. Because then every expense, every currency they spend becomes a business expense. And businesses don't pay tax on the revenue, they pay tax on profit. So if your profit is low or zero, your tax is zero. That's why most companies on paper either show losses or barely any profit because they are structured to minimize tax. Now let's start with the 5th trick in the book of the rich, the donation loophole with art galleries. If you notice closely how rich people's homes are full of expensive paintings, antiques, or vintage collectibles, a middle-class person would assume it's a useless show-off. But that's where they are wrong. It's not showing off. It's a tax-saving tool. Let's understand how. It all starts by finding a painting that's expensive enough. Let's say if the painting is worth 1 crore rupees. So the rich will buy this and then auction it to inflate the price. Now when the price is inflated and increased to 10 or 20 crores, few months later, the same painting was re-auctioned and will be sold or bought for 20 crore rupees under the company name. And then this painting will be donated to a charity or a museum. And this will be counted as a business donation, eventually earning goodwill. And now that 20 crore becomes a tax deductible donation for the business. And the effect of this is that if the company has 20 crore worth of profits, it is all tax-free. So abstract art becomes an absolute tax saver. In fact, many companies like Burger King, McDonald's take donations on every order from their customers in the name of helping the poor and just donate that money away to save taxes. Coming to trick number 4, the cremation ground loophole. This is something less than 0.5% people can ever use. But the rumor says that Donald Trump has used it for a long time to pay no tax on his luxurious golf course. Most countries don't charge tax on cremation grounds or funeral services because obviously losing a loved one is a sensitive topic and it doesn't sound human if the government will charge taxes on the cremation site. And rich use this law to their advantage. Because by legal definition, if a piece of land has been used even once for burial or cremation, it can be classified as a cremation ground and will become tax-free. And rumor says that Donald Trump has not paid tax on his golf course because he supposedly buried his first wife on his private golf course. And now the entire land of the golf course qualifies for tax exemption as a cremation site. Morally, it might sound wrong, but when it helps you save millions in tax, everything sounds genius. And that's the reason why rich people sometimes are labeled as criminals or crooks by most of the world. But they are smart enough to walk the line before it's unethical or illegal. Now let's talk about one of the most commonly known trick. No salary for me, please. You must have heard about it many a times. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, even Bill Gates say that they take just $1 as salary or don't take a salary at all. And since taxes are charged on the salary, so the lower the salary, the lower the tax. And if there is no salary, obviously there is no tax. If we take an example, an employee of Facebook will get $100,000 in salary and will pay 30 to 40% tax. On the other hand, the CEO takes a $1 salary and pays no tax. That's why rich people take stocks, not salary. And stocks are not taxed unless sold, and they rarely sell their stocks. And you would think, how do they live then? How are they able to afford food, lavish life, and other things that they use? Well, that's where trick number 2 comes into the picture. Living off loans, not income. Rich people not only know how to get paid, they also know how to use debt. Most rich billionaires have billions in equity. And if they sell it, they will have to pay tax on the interest gained and will reduce the number of shares over time. So instead of selling these shares, they take loans against their stocks. And by definition, a loan is not income, so it's not taxable. And this way, they never even sell their shares. The stocks are still gaining interest in the stock market. Although the bank is charging you an interest, if you think closely, your income is taxed at 30 to 40%. But on the other hand, your loan will have an interest rate of 9 to 14%, which is 3 times lesser than the tax on income. It might sound small for a few $100s, but when you take millions of dollars in loan, even 1% makes a lot of difference. But then a bigger question is, if they have taken a loan, they will still repay it, right? Well, that's where being rich helps. Banks don't pressurize billionaires like they pressurize the middle class. If needed, banks give more loans to pay off previous ones because they have so much more equity left to give as collateral. They take a new loan on new stock and repay the loan on the last shares. If this sounds confusing, let me give you a quick example. Let's say Elon Musk wants cash but doesn't want to sell his Tesla shares because if he sells, he will have to pay tax. So what does he do? He goes to the bank and says, hey, I have 1,000 Tesla shares. Each is worth around $326. That means I have $326,000 worth of assets. Give me a loan using these shares as security. The bank says, sure, we'll give you 80% of that. So Elon gets $260,000 in cash, tax-free, because loans are not considered income. Now the bank charges interest, say 9% a year. So at the end of the year, Elon owes around $283,000. But here's the clever part. By the end of the year, Tesla's stock price has gone up because his company is growing. Now those same 1,000 shares are worth even more. So he puts up 2,000 shares as collateral this time, worth maybe $750,000 now. He takes a new loan of $600,000, pays off the $283,000 and uses the rest as fresh cash. And those original 1,000 shares, now they are free again to be used in the same trick next year. So in short, he keeps getting fresh money every year, never sells his stocks, never shows any income, and legally pays zero tax, all this while living rich. In fact, Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, has over $1.2 billion in loans. And he sleeps just fine because when your debt is that big, it's the bank's problem, not yours. Now coming to trick number 1. But before we tell you what that is, consider subscribing to the channel as it's free for you and a big motivation for our team to bring more such content for you every week. So coming back to trick number 1, consulting fees to foreign entities. Now this trick has been used by everyone from Apple to Microsoft. And here's how it works. A company can pay any amount to another company as consulting fees. There is no legal limit. So let's say company A made a profit of 400 million in a year, so they will pay this 400 million or slightly lesser amount to company B as a consulting fee. And now, since they have technically no profit, they will pay no taxes. But you might think company B won't pay taxes on 400 million as it's their income. Well, that's where the twist comes. The receiving company is usually set up in a tax haven like the Cayman Islands, where corporate tax is 0%. These offshore companies pay no tax to their government and might take just a 1 or 2% commission and park the rest of the money safely tax-free. And this is 100% legal. We can debate about the morality, but this is 100% effective and proven. Now, as we promised, we have a bonus tip for you, and that's for salaried people. This will vary depending on where you live. And to help you with that, we have a prompt in our bio. Just copy it and paste it into ChatGPT. And ChatGPT will tell you how you can reduce your tax liability. Even if your job requires formals or suits, that counts. As long as your company includes a special allowance in your salary structure, you can claim your clothing expenses as deductions with no upper limit. So check your payslip today. If you don't have uniform allowance in your salary structure, email to your HR asking them to restructure your salary. It won't change your pay. The company will still pay you the same, but it will reduce your tax burden. It's a simple trick that helps you in saving big. Hope you learned something new today. If yes, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and stay tuned for more eye-opening videos. Because in the world of money, it's not just what you earn, it's what you keep that makes you rich.